Hi there, this is Michael Becker. And in this Tinderbox lesson, we're going to look at a new feature that was added to Tinderbox 9, and that is sentiment analysis. What sentiment analysis allows you to do is analyze the overall sentiment of a note. Namely, is that note positive, negative, neutral, or somewhere in the middle? So let's take a look and we'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead here and we are going to open up a new Tinderbox file. And you'll see here I've got a brand new Tinderbox file. And if we want to take a look at sentiment, it's pretty darn simple. All we need to do is type in a note. So we can say, this dog is happy. My dog wakes up happy every morning. She likes going for walks. She does not like cats. In fact, I think she hates them. Okay, so we've added some text to a note, and we are now going to analyze its sentiment. Well, the way to do that is you can use the two new user-generated attributes that have been added to Tinderbox 9, and that is sentiment is one, and the other one is sentiments. Okay, and so you can see the overall sentiment of this note is slightly negative, and we then can use the sentiments attribute to look at the sentiment of each of the individual paragraphs, including the title. So the first item here, 0.02, is the sentiment of the title is slightly positive. The next paragraph, this one right here, is nearing totally positive, a 1 being absolute positive, a -1 being absolute negative. So for this next one, you'll see that it is slightly negative, and then the last paragraph is totally negative. So again, you have the title, that's the first number, then the second paragraph is this 0.08, the third paragraph is this 0.06, and then the last paragraph, this 0.1 or -1, is totally negative. So that's the analysis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the 4 paragraphs of the note and the overall sentiment of the note. So let's say we want to analyze it a little bit more, and we want to actually get the sentiment of the note without the title being taken into account. So we can ask ourselves, well, how do we go about doing that? Well, to do that, what we need to do is to create 2 new user-generated attributes. And so let me go ahead and suggest a couple of those. So the first one we want to generate is the sentiment without title. So we'll go ahead and generate that user attribute now. And I'll paste that in so I can make sure I get the spelling right. And then the second one that we want to generate is going to be sentiments without title. And I'll show you how we calculate those now. So if we go ahead and hit enter, we're going to create these attributes. So the first one, sentiment without title, is going to be a number. And the second one, sentiments without title, is going to be a set. Because we want to be able to, actually not a set, sorry, it's going to be a list, because we want to allow duplicates. So if we click that away, you'll see that we have the 2 new user-generated attributes that we've created. Now what we need to do is we need to add action code to this note so that it will actually do the calculation. And for the action code, what we want it to do is we want it to remove this first item in the list, namely the title sentiment analysis. So we can go ahead and do that pretty easily. So I'm going to go ahead here and paste in my action code so that you can see it. And then let's go ahead and read what we're saying here. So what we're saying is make the sentiments without title attribute equal to the sentiments minus the first item in the list array. And so the way to do that in Tinderbox is the first item in a list array is always is 0, the second one is 1. So what we want to do is we're telling Tinderbox, go to the list of sentiments and then remove or delete the first occurrence. So if we go ahead and do, and then you'll see here we're also saying then make the sentiment without title equal to the average of the sentiments without title. And that's what we're doing with this action code. So if I go ahead and hit enter, you'll now, and we'll click away and then we'll come back, you'll now see we've done exactly that. We've basically removed the 0.2 out of the list, and we're left with only the analysis of the text itself. And let me just show you this array a little bit. If I go ahead and hit 2 here instead, and I hit enter, you're going to see what the element we're now going to remove has been number 2, so the 0.006. If I hit 1, just to analyze that again, click away, you'll see that the one we've now removed is the 0.08. So again, when you're looking at an array within Tinderbox, within a Tinderbox array list, 0 is the first item, and then 1 is the second through up. And it's a computer math thing. I'm not can't really explain why it starts with 0, but I think it's just because it's the easiest thing for the computer to know. So that is the process for doing that and analyzing sentiment analysis. Now let me give you an example of how to do that, actually analyzing a whole bunch of different types of notes and solutions and services. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pull in a website. And particularly what I'm going to do is take all of the tweets from Sir Tim Berners-Lee. So Tim Berners-Lee is the founder of the internet. He wrote the original internet protocol. And what I particularly really like about what he's doing now is he is analyzing and helping develop a whole suite of new Okay, so now that we understand what sentiment analysis is within Tinderbox, let's actually look at it in practice. So let's go ahead and let's go and look at the tweets of Sir Tim Berners-Lee. I'm going to go ahead and grab his handle, and I'm going to go to a website called Vincinitus, and you'll see here I'm having it process all of his tweets. And so I'm now going to export his tweets to an Excel file, and we'll move that over. Let me pull up my Finder here, and here are the tweets that we've just exported for Sir Tim Berners-Lee. And I can make this file a little smaller so you can see it. Okay, sorry, it's I don't know why it's doing that. So here are the tweets for Sir Tim Berners-Lee. And what we now want to do is we want to save this file as a CSV file. So that we can pull it into Tinderbox. And what Tinderbox will do, as you know, is when you drag a CSV file into Tinderbox, it will take the first row as the attribute names that it will be importing in, and then for every row following that, it will create a new note and then populate the attribute values with the values in the cell of that note. So let's go ahead and now do that. And we'll go ahead and drag in Sir Tim Berners-Lee's tweets into the Tinderbox file. So you now see we have a list of all of his tweets. And if we look at it outline view, here are Sir Tim Berners-Lee's tweets. Now let's think about how we want to start cleaning these up a little bit. So one of the first things we want to do is, maybe change the name. So let's say change name. Okay, and we'll say name equals text equals text.words 5. So essentially what we want to do is we want to tell Tinderbox, change the name of each of these tweets to the first 5 words of that is in the text of the note. So now if we scroll down and do that, we can apply that to all of the notes. So now essentially we've made the first 5 words of every one of the tweets the note. Now what we want to do is go ahead and add the sentiment prototype or sentiment attribute to each one of these notes. So I'm going to go ahead here and add in the prototypes folder. I'm going to paste in an average note. We'll call this one P tweets. Okay, and I'm just basically quickly creating a prototype with all of the attributes of this main note that I want to keep here. So we'll go ahead and whoops. Just trying to delete the values that are in the note. Okay, and now what we also want to do is then add in the sentiment and the sentiments values. Okay, so now we have a prototype with the sentiments of this particular note being displayed, and we now want to apply that prototype to all of the tweets. So we're going to go ahead and select all of the tweets, and we will go to displayed attributes, quick stamp, click displayed attributes. And this is essentially a demonstration of the inheritance function of Tinderbox. Since we pulled these notes in from the spreadsheet, they all took on their own displayed attribute values. If we want to reset those to those of the prototype, what we do is we apply that prototype to all of the notes, and then we reset the displayed attribute for those notes so they're inheriting the displayed attributes from the prototype. So now that we've done that, you'll see all of the notes actually now have the sentiment value displayed here. Okay, so now that we've actually analyzed the sentiment of each of our individual tweets, what if we actually want to look at the sentiment of all of the tweets? So that's pretty easy to do. And while we're at it, let's also do a sum of the favorites and retweets just to see how many people have favorited his 1,065 notes. So let's go, our tweets, I should say. So let's go ahead here and create some new user attributes. We'll say some favorites. It will be one. Another one will be some retweets. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and create two additional attributes. We'll do average sentiment, and we'll do average sentiments without title. And we'll go ahead and create those, and they're all numbers. Okay, so we've created these sentiments and they're all numbers. Now what we need to do is we need to then add some action code that does all of that summing up and averaging for us. So if we go to the edict, and I'm going to type in the action code that or paste in the action code that I've already pre-written. And essentially what this is saying is make the sum of favorites equal to the sum of all of the children of this note's summed up values out of the attributes attribute. Similarly, what we're saying is sum all the retweets from all of the children. And then here we're saying, make the average sentiment equal to the average of the sentiment of all of the children and the average sentiment without title of the average of all of the children. So then we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And then if we click away and let Tinderbox do its thing, you'll actually see that we have done that. And you'll notice here I spelled that one wrong, so let's go ahead and fix that. I can go here and fix that now. I'll do some favorites, and let's fix the spelling there. Favorites. Okay, so I fixed the spelling, and you'll see it's automatically fixed. And now if I go click away, we've now got the, I spelled it wrong again. Favorites. There we go. Now we've got it. Okay, and so you'll see here I've got the sum of the favorites, sum of the retweets, I've got the average sentiment across all the notes, and the average sentiments across all of the notes. And so what we're seeing is the average sentiment, including the title, is 0.48. The average sentiment without the title is 0.04. So you can see over all of the 1,065 notes, he's generally neutral in his text, but he tends to be a little bit more positive in his titles. So pretty interesting. So hope you all enjoyed that. Please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Bye.